All right, hello, welcome to digital imaging, Adobe Photoshop. I'm Joel. I sit in the back of the room. There's people on watching live, so that's why I'm here. But everything will be presented up on the screen, so it's no worries about having to look at me and all that kind of stuff. My name is Joel. I'll be the instructor for this 8-week 3-credit course. What makes it different than the 16-week is we just double up. Instead of one lesson being 1 week, we do 2 a week, and you guys will get through it just fine, or you all, excuse me. It's Photoshop. It's going to be fun. You're going to have to learn a lot, but it's creativity. I think probably a lot of the first stepping stones is like just getting used to using Photoshop. And in that, it's just practice. How do people become good at sports? They practice. How do people become good at music? They practice. How do you become good at design or good at Photoshop? Practice. The more you play around with it, the more you're using it, the more you're opening it, the better you're going to get. And so that's a really great way to take this 8-week course, is that you're always using it and it'll just become natural. Just like anything else you use on the computer, on your phone, any app you have, clicking through it and flying through it, it's because you use it. So it may start out a little choppy, but we'll get you through it, and then you'll be doing some amazing things by the end of the quarter. So yeah, that's kind of the basic introduction. I'm going to, because I want to get into it, and I want to start doing the first lesson in the book and tell you about the assignments and doing what I count as the more fun stuff. I'm going to breeze through the Blackboard and how to use it, where the assignments are. Like, that's some of the stuff that you can do and practice and know how to do. I want to get into the nitty gritty. I want to start showing you how to use Photoshop. So let's quickly go over things. I'm going to start at the top. This is my setup. You'll be using Blackboard. All your assignments are turned in by Blackboard. You can communicate with me through Blackboard. There's other ways I'll show you in a little bit, but again, everything all will be here on Blackboard. There is the book that you will need. It's Adobe Photoshop Classroom in a Book 2024. It's a new release. You will need it for the class, as we do 8 lessons from the book starting today. So you'll need it. It's listed in the syllabus. It's listed in the bookstore. It's listed everywhere. So I can't really state an easy way. The Kindle is cheaper. It just came out, so finding a used copy might be kind of hard. But like I said, you'll need it. It's been listed as a book that you need, and I will be working from it today, like starting hopefully within 15 minutes after we go over everything. So you will need it. Easy, done and done. I sent out some information about this class, which lists the book, lists our time and everything. I gave you some tips. Again, one of the big ones is if you're working from home and you have a laptop, laptops don't come with a mouse. You will not be able to design without a mouse. Like, it'd be like painting and just giving you a set of paints. You'd be like, well, where's the brush? So you'll need a mouse, and you're going to be holding down like 3 keys while clicking and dragging, and to make beautiful pieces of artwork, digital artwork. And the only way to do that is with a mouse. There's no way to do it with that trackpad, and you'll become more frustrated. So cheap mouse, $10 or less. Like, I feel like there's places that just like basically give away mice. Like, people either use them or don't. But get something. It just doesn't have to be. I'm not saying get that, gaming mouse with 78 buttons, 2 buttons and a scroll wheel. That's all you need. Oh, no worries. Oh, and then just so you guys know, somebody said they had some technical issues. Everything I'm doing is recorded and then will be posted on Blackboard in the lesson. And then so you can just watch it on YouTube later on, or if you miss something, it all gets recorded and then uploaded, so you see what's going on. That tip number 2 is HDMI. If you have an HDMI and a TV and you want to work bigger, just plug your laptop into the TV and make it a giant screen for yourself. Tell whoever's watching TV that you want to do your homework and you want to do it big. Awesome, do that. So just some stuff to know about. And then resources. This room will be open Mondays 10 to 4, M570, which is just 2 doors down. This room will be open 9 to 4, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I teach classes in here throughout the day, but just come in, work, and then there's some other dedicated computer labs. So you do not need a computer. You can do it all here at school if need be. Weekly lessons. Well, first off, time expectations. This is just so you understand that the way college works is it's broken down in the situation of how much time for 3 credits. Basically, you just need to know that you may be spending up to 18 hours a week because it's an 8-week condensed course and not 16. You will not be spending 18 hours a week on this course. I can pretty much guarantee you won't be doing that. But don't leave everything to the last minute. If you do that, then you get into trouble, get far behind, blah, 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 blah. I'll come back to weekly lessons here in a minute. If you ever have questions, let me make that bigger. There's assignment specific discussion boards, and then there's week in review discussion. Like, you can just send me notes. Hey, I have a question about this. Here's my piece. What do you think? And I'll answer back, and I check those Monday through Friday, and then sometimes on weekends. So you can always ask me questions. You can email me whatever you want. I will meet with you whenever I can through virtual office hours. Just send me an email and be like, hey, can we chat? And I'll be like, yes. What time? When? Boom. And I'll get right back to you. All right. As soon as I can answer, you'll hear back from me. I've already had a video chat with 2 students yesterday. So I do it. It clears things up quicker. No worries. There is GChat. You can get it, or you can call or text. Let me know who you are. Again, like everybody else probably in the world, I don't pick up just random calls. And so just leave me a message and I'll get back to you. Hey, this is so-and-so from which class you're in. I have a question. Can you hit me back? Or you can text me like, I have a question, and I'll get back to you. So there are a million ways. You should never just be like, I don't know what to do. I couldn't reach the instructor. No, you can reach me. I'm around. One of the main parts. Kind of going over Blackboard overview. We have weekly lessons. There's discussions. And the grade book, and then some other things. Grade book, I always keep it up to date. You'll never be waiting to find out what your grade is unless you didn't turn it in. We'll come back around to that. So you just check your grade book and it'll populate when I'm done, and easy enough. Discussions, you don't have to reach them through here. You can reach them through your assignments as well. I have everything in the weekly units, but this is where you will upload some of your work. You'll look at other students' work and be able to see how other people are working on things, what they're doing. Hopefully it'll be helpful for you in the learning situation and all that. Syllabus. This has all the information that the college requires of me. I think I have to update it with one more about AI. We will be doing a little bit with AI. You'll be doing AI this week. Within this, but there's a couple things I'm going to have to change. But again, it says, most of this is 100% up to date. The biggest things to understand, let's see if I have it, is I take attendance through turning in assignments. All right. So let's go to this. This is the biggest one. You should be, how do I grade? And then how does that affect you? All the assignments are walkthrough. do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I check that you've done it all, and then you get your grade. And then there's some in for like, you know, not remembering to do certain things, you know, it's all subjective. I can tell you exactly why did you get this grade, you didn't do this, you missed this part of the assignment, whatever. 90% of the time, if you just follow all my steps, boom, you got it. You did it, you're done, congratulations. And it's just about like, do it, rinse and repeat, make sure you follow everything. You'll do just great. There's discussions, and this is where you look at other students' work and make a comment like, oh my gosh, I really like what you did here, you know, blah, blah, and it's gonna get you to see other students' work. It's 12% of the grade that these are included in. They're not included in every one of your assignments. But when they are, make sure you're looking at other students' work and making those comments. So it could be if you had A work, but you didn't do this, you're gonna get a B. That's where it starts. Late assignments, automatically 12% one grade reduction. Why is that? Because we're teaching you how to live in the real world. And if you ever had a late assignment to a client, you wouldn't be working with that client anymore. A lot is gauged on what you turn in as a designer in graphic design, and other jobs could hinge on it. So just turn it in. There's no reason to turn it late. And then I don't accept assignments 7 days after their due date. So the unit will just shut down. You won't see it anymore, and you can't turn it in. Why? Because after 7 days, that's an eternity. I'm on. We're 2 units ahead of you, and it just doesn't make sense. So just turn them in on time. Boom, boom, boom. They're easy. You know, not easy, but you'll get through it. So don't stress about this, but just know, don't, well, I'll do it later. No, don't do it later. This is projects and grading. I'm going to update this as well. There's something new that I'm adding, but it just gives you the basic breakdown. You'll be doing like 3 per part. There's usually 3 assignments, 3 that just go along, and I'll be updating some of this as well. But for the beginning 4 weeks, it'll be a book lesson, a matching like assignment that is similar to the book, but you'll be doing a little extra work, and then either a big project, like one I call them a real world project, or a like larger kind of continuous project that you'll work on for a couple weeks. So, yeah, there's a ton of resources at MATC. Use them if you need them. Reach out, find out. If you have any sort of problem comes up, we have advisors and people to help you and find you aid where you need it. Reach out and I will send you to the correct people in case there's emergencies, whatever. Like there's, you know, if something happens like in your apartment, blah, blah, they'll get you like a fast fund grant to help you get on your feet again. Like there's so many resources like medical. You can go across to the medical center that the Bucks use, and there's like free medical stuff. So look around, use it, food support, everything. So and if they're not all here, there's plenty of websites. MATC has like a whole website dedicated to that. So yeah, I think that's all I really feel like reviewing for this. Is there any questions about like the back end of how this works? You know, it's a standard class, you know, standard. So let's kind of dig in. So you click on, you know, Blackboard, just click down. We're going to be doing week 1, part 1, getting to know the work area. I'm going to be going over assignment lesson 1 book project, and you are going to it as well. But I want you to know something, because the funny part is when you get the book, I have to show you that. When you get the book and you download it, it gives you the end product. It gives you the final assignment. So I add in what I call modifiers to make sure I know you did the assignment. So if you click on Start Attempt, it'll pop this up. And so for lesson 1, you have to change a word and change a color of something. And I just put them in here because then you'll figure it out along the way. You're like, okay, I know what he's talking about, and I have to switch that. And then that way I know that you completed the assignment. So just know that. I checked that. Then I'll go over the matching, which is you're going to be following the steps within the book for the most part. The assignments do change a little bit. This one, you'll follow it, but I'm asking you to change a bunch of stuff, new imagery, different colors, all that kind of stuff. And again, why are we doing it? I did the book, then I got to kind of do it again. The more you do this over and over and over, the more you're going to memorize it, and it's just going to become more natural. Oh, I want to do this. And then you run and kind of do it, and you get it done. For today, then the other one is called a real world project, and you have like 8 of these. And these are just based off of stuff that in my past and what I've done is these come up all the time. This real world project, fairly easy. You're adding to photos, and I'll talk more about that when we get to it. I guess when I say in my past, just what I've done in the past. So I've been an instructor, full-time instructor here at MATC for 10 years. Before that, I was an art director at a event marketing company for 15 years. And before that, I was in different design jobs until I got the art director job. So I have been in the industry for 30 plus years. That's why I know what I know, because I've been doing it every day for that long. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'll fill you in too. I talk pretty openly when I'm doing some like the book projects and stuff, and I'll tell you like, this is something I never used. This is fairly new. I'm not used to it yet, because these programs change over the years. And you guys, if you're starting now, it's new to you, but you don't know what it used to be. And I still have that, old dog learning new tricks. So like they added something new. I still do it the old way, but I should start to do it the new way kind of idea. But I'll talk to you more about that when it comes up in these assignments. One other thing I want to mention now, because then we'll use it in the book project, is if you're working at home, you're working on the computers here, is to open Adobe Creative Cloud. This little app at the bottom is Adobe Creative Cloud. And when you open it, it looks like this. And what it's going to do is, first, it's going to make sure you have all your updates. So if you're working at home and you have the student subscription, this will make sure you're all up to date. And then this will also open it every time you work, because fonts will come in. And then when you work on projects, you don't have to worry about the fonts. And that'll be more important later on, but I actually had to use it for this first project. And hopefully, I don't know if it's loaded on these Macs. I have a PC at home, so I do work on both platforms, and it makes no difference. Just so you know, if somebody's like, oh, graphic designers only work on Macs. No, you work on what you can afford, and I can afford a PC, and that's it. I'm not working on Macs at home where I have to buy it. But always open this. Always in the background, it just runs quietly in the background, but make sure you're all up to date. And then there's some stuff with file sharing that helps as well. So if you ever like, I couldn't get the font or this wasn't working, that's the problem. All right. Photoshop. You know what the icon look? It's the PS, Adobe Photoshop 2024. This is the main screen. When it opens, this is how we start out. As you start to do projects and work on things, it'll start to populate. You can whole area for your files. Stay organized. Learn it a little bit. I use these folders. I don't believe the folders are turned on here at MATC on their computers, so you may not get that option. But if you're using the student subscription at home, it will show up. And that just means like it's a great place to store files. But it only lets you store certain types. So it's not like everything, which is a little bit irritating, but I think they do that in order to make sure people don't abuse the folder area. If you do need to go back and forth, MATC you have an account with MATC where your email is, and there's a Google Drive account, which you get to fill up with anything you want. And that's an excellent way to move things around. Let's log in. I'm in. Under these three, it's this drive. And you can make folders and you can store all your stuff. And then if you're here at school, you just throw it up there, you drag and drop it, and then you go home, it'll be there. And then you go to a different computer and a different computer lab and you open up and you'll have it again. So use the Google Drive for saving your stuff. And then you're going to have to use it for projects in this class, making little documents and stuff. So you'll start to use that as file sharing, and then for Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and all that kind of stuff. So that's where. How can I do it? You don't need a thumb drive. You don't need a flash drive. You can do it all through the cloud. MATC supplies this all for you. So that's just a different version of the cloud than Photoshop has. So, all right, let's jump in. Where should we go to? We're going to open a document. It's simple. New file or open. They want you to open the end file. So again, for me, I'm so used to going up the file, but now they have it here. You go to open, and then I'm going to go, I have on my desktop a little Photoshop folder, lesson 1, and then this. I'm going to open that up. This is similar to what you're going to be doing and what we're going to do today. But remember, I have modifiers. And so you're going to modify yours. You're going to change it a little bit. So I know that you just didn't hand this file in. Boom, boom. And then you're going to be doing this again, but with different imagery, just to kind of take yourself through that again. So that's how you open a file. The file opens up. You have tools on the left. All right, these are all your tools. They're called tools for a reason because that's what they are. You click on them and then it changes what you have and you can do whatever. That's the paintbrush, great. Eyedropper, great. Cropping. And we'll start to go through these. I'm not going to tell you what they are until we need to use them, because otherwise it's like overwhelming. Like, let's just work on what you need to know and not anything else. Up here at the top, we'll always have more information about what the tool is and how you can change it. So if I change it to the brush tool, it gives all this new information. If I change it to the eraser, it shows new information. So you kind of use this in tandem. Here's gradient, then it has gradient, context bar. They talk about down below, let's make this smaller. Just so I can raise it up. Down here has some information. I generally don't go to this information that much. We're going to talk about it right away. Like when you zoom in and you do some other items, it changes a little bit, but I don't really reference that area that much. This is brand new. This is new, this contextual bar, and it jumps around sometimes. And so you can lock it in place. But that should change as well when you change to different subject matters, and see how it jumps around. I hate that. And then it's got this turned on. All right, great. Those are called, when that happens, these things pop up. You can turn that off if you want. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Over here are your panels. And this has all the information you need to do changes and adjustments and update and change things. Generally, I would do workspace and essentials. And that has everything you need where you need it. It's really easy and simple to start out. You can pull these off and move them around, but I would highly suggest you don't, just because then you're blocking your work area more and more and more. And I work on big screens because I want to see a lot and I'm zooming in a lot. And why would I want things in my way? So I never really move those. I keep them on the side, and you can even collapse them even more, extend out, and you can just have like this. So the more real estate you give yourself here in viewing it, the better off you're going to be, because then it's nice and big. You can see what your project is. So kind of work with those panels a little bit. You can squish them and mush them. And then there's, when you click on, this is extended, there's a few extra things down here, and we'll get into that, and those change as we work. So I'm going to close this out and don't save. Again, when you go through the project, I'm going to go through the project with you, and let's get started, and I'll explain more of that as we go. I'm going to keep my screen a little bit shrunk just so you can see the lower part. Now I'm going to go to File. I'm going to New File for this, and I get this pop-up window. And we want to go to Film and Video for this project, and this 1920 by 1080. Everything else we just keep. It's correct, and I'm going to hit Create. Now we end up with our background, it's called, and this is a layer. When we work in layers, layers are like pieces of glass. And every time I add a layer, it's like I'm adding a piece of glass on top of the one below it, and I can add images, and then I can have it like be transparent and affect the layer below and do all this kind of stuff. But it also keeps elements separated from each other, so you can move them around. You can change them without changing the entire image. And once you get layered, man, layers are the greatest thing ever. You can't really work without them. That's, they're perfect. They're great. So you're going to be using layers in this project and kind of understanding them more and what you can do with them. So we got this started. We opened the document. We got the file size. We're good. All right. Step one, done. How easy was that? File, open, tells you exactly what to do. Now we're going to add an image. I'm going to go to File, and we want to, they do this a little different one. We want to place embed. So it's down here. Usually on these up here, these menus, a lot of the stuff is in alphabetical order. So that's the best way to find it. But when you see like a line, these are different sections. And so like goes in alphabetical order in these little sections. And so that's where you're like, wait, but where's place embed? You just kind of got to find it. And then you click on it. And now I'm going to add this image called Arch. And I'm just going to hit place. I'm going to click on it and hit place. Boom, it's in there. We're up and rolling. We got an image to start. Now we need to make the image bigger. And they want it to be the entire canvas. And so what we created when we opened the document is a canvas. And that we see that there's white on all the sides of it. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to make this smaller. Now I could use the magnifying glass, and I have it set, if I click on this, on the magnifying glass, which that's a lower one, it's on what's called scrubby zoom. It's either on or off. I have it on because then I can click and drag and move in one way, or click and drag and move out the other. The other way, if that's off, you grab a selection and then it'll zoom into that. Now the third way, and what you should start to get used to, is using quick keys, which are like Command, Alt, and minus and plus. And then I can just do that, and I'm not grabbing anything, but the keyboard is doing it. So you're designing with two hands, and you'll be starting to do that. Like your hand is on the mouse, that whatever handed you are, like my right hand is on the mouse, my left hand is always on the keyboard, always, because I'm always clicking to do stuff, and that makes it easier. If you're constantly running like, I need to zoom in, and you go to this and then you zoom in, or I have that, put it on scrubby zoom again, and I go back, and then I have, then I switch to something else, and then I have to switch back to the magnifying glass. But if I switch to something else and I just hit like fit the screen, boom, I did that, and I never switched what I was using. So start to use those, and it shows, or you can click on that there, or if you go to view, zoom in, zoom out, over here, those little symbols is how you do that. So just think of copy and paste. Everybody's got copy and paste down pat, right? Command C, Command V, Command C, Command, like, you know how to do it. It's natural. Learn how to do these. When you start using something a lot, be like, oh, there's got to be a quicker way. Look for it. If there's a quicker way, it's right here on the right of those menus. And I use these constantly. Greatest part about like the zoom in, zoom out, and fit the screen, it's the same in Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign, which are the main programs you're going to use. Well, I just talked a lot about zooming in and out, but here's why. So I have to make this image bigger, all right? I'm going to zoom out so I can see the entire space, and then I'm going to make it bigger. Now you can just pull from the corner. Photoshop constrains it, and I'm going to undo that. But if I hold down Option or Command, I can have it grow different ways. So see, like, oh, I held down a button and I can distort it. I don't want to distort it. I can hold down another button and have it grow from the middle out. So it saves me a step. Does that make sense? Like, so instead of me just kind of doing this and then going out of this corner and going like that, I can hit Option and have it grow from the center. So all these little things you can additionally do to make your life easier, you should start to look at and see if you can do them. It takes a little bit, like, how do I do that again? How do I do that again? How do I? It's just practice. Or you do something enough and you're like, like I said, there's got to be a better way. So I made this image bigger as they asked. Photoshop constrains it. The other programs don't. And then you need to hold down Shift. But starting today, you will never squish or squash an image. There's no need to. So by that, I mean, oh, they wanted to fill this area, and so I just did this. That's distorting the image. You squished it. You squashed it. Like, that's not what we do. We bring images in, and we keep them in proportion to what they were. Just think about, you're on social media, somebody takes a picture of you, and then they just pull it really wide, and then they post it. And you'd be like, why did you do that to my picture? And then you posted it? Like, that's horrible. That's not what I look like. It's all distorted. That's why we're never going to do that again. We will never distort an image from here on out. No matter what program you're using, no matter what you're designing, unless it is fully intentional, you'll just never do that again. So how do I get an image to fit? You get it to fit, and if it has to go past, like this, it goes past. So something to know. All right, kind of talked about the areas already, where everything is. The book goes through this as well. Panels and moving things and adjusting things. So I'll skip over that a bit because it's been discussed. Using the tools I talked about zooming already. Oh, maybe we should talk about that. What makes this different? What is Photoshop? What is Illustrator? Photoshop is pixel-based program. You are painting with pixels. You're changing the color of a pixel. There is some vector work within Photoshop that it now makes it a lot better. But for the most part, it is pixel-based. Illustrator and InDesign work in vector-based. Vector is infinitely scalable. It is using math to draw a line, and you can scale it up as much as you need. Photoshop is pixels. And the more I zoom in, you can start to see it degrade. And then now it's showing squares. And each one of these squares is a pixel. And that's how it stores the information. So you're pushing around pixels in Photoshop, adjusting pixels for the most part. And that's what makes Photoshop what it is. And then that's why when we talk, and I'll talk about a little bit later, is using high-res images so you don't get blowout, you don't get pixels showing in your piece. You're like, why does it look fuzzy? Why does it look bad? It's low res. That's why. You want high res, and that's just, mostly dealing with Photoshop and pixel-based art programs. So let's see here. Zooming. Okay, done. I'm just going through the book. I'm making sure I don't really miss anything. All right. Now we're going to create a new layer. So we have a background, it's labeled, and then we have a layer called Arch right here. See where I'm circling? I'm going to click on Arch, and I'm going to go down to this plus, and I'm going to click the plus, and it's going to create a new layer. I'm going to label my layer as it says, rectangles. You label your layers in order to help facilitate understanding what you've been doing. If you just leave it like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, you're going to be like, oh, what was on that one? And you're going to be doing a lot of back and forth of like turning things on and off. And that's what those eyeballs do. There's eyeballs that turn on and off that layer. So I can pick what I want to see at certain different times. And this will become more apparent in the future. But you kind of click around. You're like, oh, how's that looking? You can turn something off, turn it back on. And it's an eyeball. So you see it or you don't. Now the book does something very funny, is we get super far kind of into this. We start building, we make a layer, and they're like, let's change the unit of measure. When you're working on a piece, you generally set all this before you even start. And that was that introductory area. They want us to be working in pixels, and it might be set to inches. And so just follow in the book. You go to, like here it's edit. For Mac, it's different than PC. Settings, units and rulers, and you'll get this page. And so just follow in the book how to do it depending on where you are. And here it's set on pixels. The ruler set to pixels, and that's perfect. It may be set for inches for you when you start. But generally this you change like right away. You don't start using it unless you know what sizing you're using, because a client's going to tell you what size. The assignment's going to say, do it to this size and use pixels or inches. So you'll do that in the beginning. Now we're going to make a rectangle. This is the move tool. The very first one is called the move tool. And that is if you have something floating, you can move it around. I can move this picture around, right? Let's get it back. But the one below it is the one we want, and it's called the marquee. So it's the rectangular marquee, or you can do an ellipse, you can do lines, a single row, but we want the rectangular marquee. And what that's going to do is allow us to select an area and then do something within that area. So we're going to go from this corner, and you can start far out. That's the great part about it. I'm just starting way up here and clicking and dragging, and I'm going to pull down until I meet that guideline. And it will snap to that guide for you. So it means like as soon as I kind of getting close, it'll snap to it and be like, there we are. Perfect. Using the snap is awesome. It just kind of makes things easier. You put up these grids and you need something to move over to this area. It snaps right to it. It's done. So we made that selection. And remember, I'm on rectangles. I'm on this layer that says rectangles. It's highlighted. And I have that. Now we're just going to do an orange fill. And so what I can do is use this context bar here. And there's a bucket. Easy. I'm going to click on the bucket. I'm going to hit fill color. And what's going to happen is this is going to pop up. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, let me go back one. Cancel. Fill color. Oh. Just a moment. What happened to my color palette? I use more than one screen, and every once in a while this happens where it does not like the multiple screens. So I have to find something it hit on me, or I'll just restart it. Yeah, there it goes. Yep. All right, so that'll lock up. Let's get out of this. Cancel. Okay, cancel. All right, I gotta get out of this. I am frozen. Give me a minute. Sometimes this happens. Don't make me shut down the whole computer. All right. It's all right. You know why? Because it's quick and easy to get to where we were.
Are there written instructions on how to complete this or no?
In the book.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just following the book.
You're right.
Yeah. No, somebody asked if there's written instructions. It's in the book. So it knew I had the force quit and Photoshop opened exactly where it was, knew the image, popped it up. We're all good. So I'm going to go back to the marquee. I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit select. I'm going to hit fill color. Well, this is where it didn't like it. The color picker. Oh, it does not like it when I move that. All right, so the color picker shows up on a different screen, and that's what it's not liking. And then it's pushing it off somewhere. So that's where I'm running into trouble when I move that over. So I'm just going to do the force quit again and then not show you the color pick part. Because I'm switching from one screen to another and I move it, it's not liking that move. And I've had this happen in the past. So do this. Let's do this. It shouldn't happen on yours. And part of it is because I'm recording. I have 3 screens running. Actually, I have 4 screens running. And when you start shifting stuff, it gets all discombobulated. So let's do fill color. I'm going to keep my color picker on my left. You guys can't see it, but I'm going to type in their color, which is FF7F00. And I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to hit OK. And there it filled it. There we go. Easy. It filled that color. And then I want to deselect. So you can go up to select and deselect, or again, this Command D is the way to do it. I'm so used to it. I dance around that keyboard and use Select D. Now we need to do the same. I'm going to create a blue rectangle, and they tell us the size. The height is 1080, but then we want a blue rectangle that's 660 pixels. So I'm just going to grab from the outside, and you can see it gives me measurements. And I'm just going to go to 660 or as close as I can. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but that was pretty perfect. And then I'm going to go to, let's move this over, the fill. I'm going to do that again. Color fill. Oh, there. Now it came on the correct screen, so you can see where it is. I'm not going to move it. Then they say type in 00. I'm in that number area at the bottom. 53B2. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit color. Boom, filled it. All right. Now I'm going to deselect. So we have this layer and it's rectangles. If I turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. That's how we use the layers. Now we're going to do a blend mode in that layer to have it become transparent. And I love working with these blend modes. You never know what they're going to do, and they're a lot of fun. So you make sure you're on rectangles, and we are going to go to the color blend mode. So right here where it says normal, and I'm going to go to color. And you can see what it does is it makes that, you know, kind of like transparent, like it's blue. I'll zoom. But if you go down all of these, you'll see what happens. And when you're playing around in the future and you're doing stuff and you're making effects and you want all this stuff to happen, I'll work on something and I'll slowly go down each one of these to find out exactly what I want. They're so much fun. And you can see it did the same on the orange over here. It made it orange transparent. Pretty rad. All right, now we're going to add some type to this. And for that, we use the type tool. Which is the T. Easy. Just going to click on the T, and we want horizontal type tool. Now they tell us, like, place it approximately here, here, here. There we go. Oh, but we want to put in some specifics. And this is where the Creative Cloud comes in. They say, oh, we're going to use this font, Abril Fat Face. Well, I didn't have it at home, so I had to get it. Oh, and here it is. Abril Fat Face Regular. So this computer had it. At home, what I had to do is I had to go use the Adobe Creative Cloud. I had to go to fonts and then browse more fonts. And what that does is it gives you a whole array of Adobe fonts. And then you can type in the name of fonts here and it will bring them up for you. So you can get what you need. So that's why having that Creative Cloud open is really nice, is it helps you facilitate some other parts of learning how to do things. So we got Abril Fat Face, we got regular. We want it at up at the top. We want 210 pixels. I'm gonna hit 210. I'm gonna hit enter. If you don't hit enter, it will stay at 76. And then here, this last one is the color, and we want to change it to white. And I'm just gonna pull all the way there to that corner. You drag it to the corner and hit OK. Now, when I start typing, it's just gonna like come right in and start typing. Last one. Oh, last one is center text. So this is left align, center align, right align. So they want center for some reason. I don't know why. Slightly below the center of the canvas. I'm going to click there. And then lorem ipsum comes in. You see what happened? Mine jumped again to 75. But we want it at 210. So we're going to make sure it's big. And then we're going to type in history 301. Now, mine is uppercase and lowercase right now. We want it all uppercase. So what I can do is just select it. I just double clicked on the text, or you can highlight it just like you do in any program. Microsoft Word, you know, whatever, it's just highlighting. And then I can go and find more information, and I want all caps, all right? So I can go to Window, I gotta go to Type, excuse me, Type, Panel, Character Panel. And there's this one with 2 T's next to it. If I click that, it makes it all caps for me automatically. You can do that before, you can do that after. It's one way to make all caps. We really shouldn't do a lot of work in all caps, but we can do some work in all caps. That's fine. That's a little bit of, you know, stuff you'll learn in graphic design later on. Now, I just moved to that move tool, and because I'm on this layer, I can move that around wherever I need, right? Get it perfectly centered. They have it, you know, like get that 301 right about there, looking good. You can also use arrow keys. I can tap the arrow keys and nudge it by like 1 pixel at a time. So if you're like so close, but you want to adjust it, you use the arrow keys. I use the arrow keys for moving things around all the time. Again, you're designing with 2 hands. If you can't get it perfectly, you know, like I want this part of the H to be in perfectly aligned with that. I'll just use the arrow key and tap it over. You know, there it is. Perfect. It moved in one direction. I didn't move it up, didn't move it down, just left or right. So using the arrow key to move things is a super rad way to do stuff. All right. Move. We'll add another line of text. We're going to do horizontal type tool again. And each time we do this type tool, it is adding a new layer. So you can see history 301 here, and that's a new layer added. Horizontal type tool is Acumen Pro. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to type in Acumen Pro, condensed black italic. First one that popped up. Oops. I didn't click down. Acumen Pro. There we are. We want it to be 165 points. We still want it to be white. What else? Anything else? Then we just type live stream. There we are. Now I can move this over. Because you can move it whenever you want. You know, you move it over, move it, you know, before, after. Should be on. And we're just trying to make it look like the book. I'm going to align it with that little guide right there. Great. Now we're going to add a solid color layer. This is pretty cool. I'm going to, in the layers area, I'm going to select the arch layer. Because when we add a new layer, it always adds it on top of the layer that we are working on. So if I add it, if I'm here and I add a layer, it's going to put it on the very top. I want to have it here. It needs to be in front of one thing, but not everything. So I'm going to hit the plus, and we added a layer there. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, create new fill. This is something I don't always do. I'm here, and it's create new fill. So click the create new fill or adjustment layer at the bottom, which is the little circle that's cut in half. So I'm going to click on that, and we want solid color. Now again, I have to type in their color, which is 0C3303. I'm going to hit OK, and there we have it. But, you know, of course, it's in front of everything. It's blocking everything. So we want to change that from normal to hard light, which we just scroll down until we find hard light right there. So now it's see-through. It's looking more and more like their picture. And then we're going to tone it down more. So this opacity, I can type in the opacity here. I can do 90, or I can, like, if you pull down, you can adjust it with a slider as well. But they want it, let's set it to 90. A little more transparent, let some things through. And there we go. Now they do talk about hiding the guides, which can be done by simply going to View, Guides, not Lock Guides. Where is it? Why is it? Oh, Show. Excuse me. Show Guides. They changed that on me. View, Show, Guides. But what I actually do is I use a quick key, which is Command:, which will turn them on automatically. And I use that a lot, and that goes across all the platforms, all Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. Command:, boom, boom, gets them out. All right, next up, we're going to paint the graphic element. Now, when using Photoshop, you're going to use down here in the corner, we have what's called a foreground color and a background color. The one that's in front and on top is the color that you'll be using. So right now, if I were to paint something, it will be black. If I reverse those, and that's white is on top, if I paint something, it'll be white. So it's foreground color and background color, and that's how those are discerned. Now we want to sample a color from in here. So, or we can type it in. They actually tell you how to type it in. But the reason why we want to sample a color from the image we're working on is we want the colors to match. Because if you come in and like bring in like something like completely different, it's going to stick out and not look right. So you can sample from your piece. And so I'm going to use the eyedropper tool here. And that's what it looks like, a little eyedropper. And I'm going to go over in this light part of the cloud. I'm going to click on it. And as soon as I clicked on it, my foreground color changed to the blue. If I were to click in the green, it'll change to the green, orange into the orange. So the eyedropper tool is changing. And when I click and hold it, you can see what I used to have is on the bottom, and what it wants to change it to is on the top of that arch. And that's just like a clue, so you can be like, no, I want, which color do I want to exact? I'm dragging this around to get it, perfect. So there's ways to really get those things to be perfect. They also say if you want to type it in, you can just click on that square and this will pop up. I wonder how off I was. Let's try it. They done type in 4099FF. I was pretty far off. They had a way lighter color. All right. So now we're going to paint with the paintbrush. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to click on rectangles. I'm going to go up and I'm going to double click and I'm going to hit paint. They actually have it do it a different way, which I never do, which is like hold down a key while hitting the plus, but whatever. And then I'm going to hit the paintbrush tool, which looks like a little paintbrush, of course. And we're going to go to the brush menu and pick a brush. So I'm going to go to Window, Brushes. Now it's going to give you a ton of different brushes. And I have even like at home, I have more loaded. And we want to go to Special Effects and click on the first one, Kyle Splatter Brushes. I think it's just the first one. And that's going to give us a brush. Now we need to adjust the brush size, or maybe not. I'm just moving ahead. All right, so now I can start painting. And so I'm just gonna, this is me. All I'm doing is holding and dragging in a very small circle. Now the cool thing about this brush, I'm gonna undo that, is every time I touch it, the brush changes size and sometimes changes direction. So it's like this random creator brush. Not all of them do that, but I want to point out, like every time I just click down, so I can click and drag, and then as soon as I lift up, it changes the brush. I can click and drag and it changes the brush. So they do have some very cool features within Photoshop and like the clicking. So things look more natural, like a real person did it with the paintbrush. So you're going to go in and you're going to do some paintbrush work, and then you're going to undo. And that's literally what I'm doing right here, is I'm undoing. So I'm going to paint and it's too big. Like, oh, that's huge. And I painted all that stuff. Undo. Command Z. Get to know it, get to love it. Or you go to Edit, Undo Brush Tool. But get to know Command Z. And then if I have Shift Command Z, it comes back. Shortcut, like you'll undo a lot. You do something, you're like, oh, no, I don't like that. Undo. I'll try it again. Oh, nope, undo. So get to know, undo, start to use it a bit more. Let us change the size of our brush as they tell us to. So up here is the size of the brush. I'm going to change it to 80. And then I'm going to color in right behind this live stream as they want. And last but not least, I think this is our last area, which will tie into something else. So they want us, we're going to go on this arch image again, all right? I'm going to collapse this so we can see what's going on. I'm hitting on the arch layer, and I'm going to go to the move tool. But what I want to make sure is auto select is off, okay? Up here it says auto select. What that means is if I'm in front and I actually click on the art history, I'll move the art history. It will auto select what I click on. But because that image is in the far background, I need to make sure I click on that layer and then click off auto select. And then I'm going to move, they're like center, get that building centered up in there. All right, perfect. I got it centered up. That becomes confusing. And you'll be like, why can't I move what I need to move? It keeps moving something else. You'll have to every once in a while double check. Are you on auto select? Are you not on auto select? And what is it actually clicking on? So I'm going to use the eyeballs. I'm going to turn them all off except for arch. I'm going to use the select tool again, and I'm going to go from far out to just overlapping the image, just a tad. And then I'm going to hit generative fill and just hit generate. So something popped up and it talks about it. I have to agree to the terms and conditions. I'm afraid if I move it over to this screen, it's going to shut me down again. So I'm just going to hit agree. And now it's generating. It is completing the rest of this image. This is so useful, and it's your, everyday project. Now that's what it did. The great part is it gives you selections over here. Do I want that one? Do I want this one? Or maybe this one? And you can pick the one you like best that kind of suits the needs. I think I like this middle busy one. It's busier. It's going to look different for you. It might look similar, but every time it generates, it's going to look different. And this is how we add to a photo. There will be so many times in your graphic design career where you need to make the image a couple inches bigger on the left-hand side without just, changing or distorting or ruining it. This is now the best way to do this. This would take you an hour back in the day. You would have to go in and kind of copy and paste and then hide and scrub and do all this work. This is amazing how quickly it can do this stuff now. And it's just one and done. You pick the one you want, boom, you're done. And then you turn everything back on. And there we have it. That's lesson 1 with a bunch of added stuff by me going on about it. Do this lesson, check my modifiers. One of them is change the color of the paint. And instead of history, I have you type in art history. Otherwise, it's all the same. Complete that. It takes me, I would say it almost takes me longer because I'm talking you through it, that if you just do this, it's pretty quick. And in the book, you'll notice there's red. Oh, no, this one doesn't do red. You can skip over all the stuff in tan. I really don't cover stuff in tan. And then starting up, I started a bunch of pages in. I mean, you'll know where to skip over and where it starts to next, do this. And then that's where you start doing stuff. They're easy lessons. And you're going to do it this way. And then I'm going to open up Blackboard here. And let's continue on. All right. So that's the book project. And like I said, you click on it, double check my modifiers so I know that you worked on it. Change history to art history, make the paint splash red, not blue. Is it going to look great? No, but whatever. I just want you to do something different. All right. So the matching project. You are going to go follow the same steps, but use a different image, and you can change all the colors. So it's following through. Now, what I want you to do in the adding image area, add your own image. So you're gonna find an image that you want. Well, where should I find an image? It can be an image that you have, but it needs to fit that size, that film size that they have without being low res. And what I have here is links. All of these have free giant pictures. So like if you go pexels.com, open that up and, you know, say instead of like, what did they have here? Roman kind of architecture. Yeah, great. I want like a downtown scene. So instead of Roman architecture for my, you know, project, I want cityscape. And I just type in cityscape and it gives you all of these. And they're all high res. And like you just pick it, you hit download, you wait a minute, pops up here, and it goes in your download. Then you have that image. So that's how you get images. Where to get images. You can look on Google too. Like if you just do a Google search, images, but you have to go to tools and you have to make sure you're looking for high res images or more, you know. So it's a little bit, and this one's not even letting me do. Oh, it moved it. So size, and then you do large. It's easier to use these sites that are up here. So again, follow through the assignment, and then wherever I have like add an image, and then feel free to quickly pass over the following steps until you come to combining elements using layers. Then, you know, fill a selection with color, pick your own color, create a blue triangle, create your own color triangle, adding type, add in your own type, adding a color layer, add your own color, and then follow the steps until you're done. That's what you're gonna do. So it's a repeat of what you're doing, but you're using your own imagery, your own type, so it gets you to kind of free up a little bit. Down, simple, you know, shouldn't take you any longer than it took you to do the book project. This one is now like, seriously, within the last year, this is where things change. And this is where the real world project comes in. Back in the day when I was an art director and we'd work on projects, we so often you'd get photos from a professional photographer and they were just a little, you know, too short, not wide enough. And we would have to add onto it in order to not distort, not ruin, and all this kind of stuff. And it was a very long working process, but not anymore. Now it's super simple. And literally this is, you know, just new with AI that has just been popping up. It has made this so much easier. So this project, like an hour, it should take you like 10 minutes. If you scroll down, I have this real world project file, and it's going to open like this, and you're going to download. And there's 5 images. So you're going to download the images, download anyway. It'll download a zipped file for you that I will like open. And then here they are. So you're gonna update 5 images that I have here for you. And then I'm just gonna click on the first one. And as you can see, I already have the part that's missing. So then all you're gonna do is you're gonna come in, you're gonna select that area, and then hit generative fill. And we're gonna generate, and we're gonna see what happens. And you might have to ask it to do it once or twice, but it's generally pretty spot on the first time. So there we go. It filled it in. Look at your, you know, look at, oh, see that, this one? I think this one's even better. This one could work too. One thing to look for, and what, you know, it's kind of a dead giveaway sometimes in these Photoshop, you know, jobs like that, is looking for repeats and like seeing if there's anything odd, like kind of like, what is this weirdness? That's a little odd. Or here, you know, like kind of looks like a bus station, but it's like, it's somehow kind of like thought about this section and made it repeat. Or you can just do this where it just fills it with trees, but then you also still have, you have this bar coming down, which is pretty okay. You know what I mean? Like it's fine there, but I want you to look at that. And again, yours are going to look different than mine. And you'll be surprised that like when you hand these in, how different everybody's are. And that's the real world project. So everything has due dates. So in case you didn't know, 8/27 at midnight. After that, it's late, it's downgraded. And if you don't make the discussions, it's downgraded more. Everything is due, I believe it's next week, Tuesday. You have plenty of time. Don't wait until, because next week, Tuesday, we're going to start on new, we're starting on new stuff tomorrow, Thursday. So Tuesdays and Thursdays stuff is all due on Tuesday. You can upload like questions, comments, or concerns. That's one area. Or every project will have this midweek review where you just click on it. And when you hit type a response, you can add your image however you want and just be like, hey, can you check this out? Does this look all right? And I'll get back to you and let you know, like, yeah, do this, change this. Looks perfect. Keep turning it in, whatever it may be. So today, tomorrow, you can probably knock all three of these out, get them done, and then we'll move on to the next section. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? You know how to get a hold of me. All these computers have Photoshop, so you can start working right now. I'm in this room the rest of the day. I have 2 other classes, but you just ignore that and just sit and put on headphones and work away. And I'm here to answer questions. Also, if you miss something usually before 3 o'clock, I will have a link to the YouTube channel that will have this whole thing. What you saw on the screen happens, and then you can just rewatch it. Oh, I don't get what he did there. Let's go back, rewatch it. It'll all be there for you. So, all right. Well, thank you. I will see you Thursday. Have a good day, good Wednesday. See you Thursday. Thanks.